The 2023-24 season has in many ways been the season where the sustainability rules of the Premier League have come under even more of a scanner than ever before. The reason for this being there have been multiple teams that have been hit with points deductions or fines as far as breaching the Premier League's profitable and sustainability rules are concerned, or PSR for short. Three letters that football fans have come to dread even more than they did the three letters VAR. But that could very well be set to change in the not so distant future, because the Premier League is mulling a very radical step, one that could forever change the foundation and the way that the sport has been governed from a financial standpoint. What exactly am I talking about? Well, the clubs will be meeting soon in a shareholders meet, and they are likely to be discussing a salary cap, a hard salary cap, something that, by the way, has never been implemented in not just any English league, but many would say even a European league. It's a very American concept to have a closed league with a number of, let's say, teams there who don't get relegated, don't get promoted, but there is a salary cap in offer to ensure that the playing field is a lot more even. Now, the base of the salary cap, or the figure, would be around what the TV revenue of the bottom clubs would be, meaning that every team is starting on a even keel. In theory, that's a very good idea, but it is one that is likely to face some very stern opposition. In fact, already one of the clubs that have come out, not officially so, but have been one of the staunchest opponents of this rule, are Manchester United, and it's easy to understand why. If you have a even salary cap for all teams, it would level out the playing field and remove the competitive advantage that a side like Manchester United have had over the years, wherein they could spend more money because the revenue they generated was enormous, and therefore they were able to, let's say, maintain their status quo as one of the top dogs. Naturally, a lot of big clubs will be against it, and in fact, it does tend to show you, though, how far it is that the Premier League is moving when it comes to profit and sustainability and ensuring that all teams are financially solvent. That being said, it is a departure from the current PSR rules, which has often seen teams be allowed to lose about £105 million over a 3-year period. They're only allowed to spend as much as revenue that they generate. So there's been issues, of course. There have been things that have been done to tackle the amount of excessive spending you saw, but it hasn't really worked. And this is, by the way, not a hardcore, let's say, hard and fast sort of a suggestion that is being put about. They could very well take up UEFA's ruling as well, where currently what UEFA's rule is that teams are allowed to spend 70% of their turnover on player wages. That's another thing that they could do to ensure to bring down wages, which is also one of the things that the main aim of this really is to do, because right now, whilst they have control to an extent, let's say, spending on transfer fees, wages still skyrocketing. But it will have very big implications for all teams involved, and again, there is a little bit of uncertainty as to whether or not this would work out. Now, the reason they're doing this, in case you're wondering why is it the Premier League have suddenly woken up to the realization that, oh no, the laissez-faire, free-for-all market that we've created isn't that utopian. Well, it doesn't really come from them having a conscience or anything of the sort. It comes about from the fact that an independent regulator is set to be employed very soon. One that, and this, by the way, is going to be a government employee as such, because the process of bringing about the independent regulator is coming about via an act from the Parliament. This independent regulator will in turn force a lot more clubs to be financially responsible, or more financially responsible than they are being now. And yes, this financial or this football regulator is coming about due to the failed launch of the European Super League, which forced English football to act and ensure that you don't have more such issues stem up in the future. So essentially what the Premier League is doing is, as I mentioned in the third point on the slide, you can see they're acting out of necessity. They're saying that, listen, you can't tell us how to govern the sport sustainably, we'll do it ourselves, to ensure that they don't fall afoul of the independent regulator. So it's more a political move and a way of saving their own skin, rather than them suddenly realizing that no, this isn't really a great way to go about with things. But as I said, interesting a move it may be, it is radical. You don't see salary caps except in closed leagues, the likes of which you've seen, of course, in America, or even franchise-based leagues for other sports around the world, which you've seen, including the sports of cricket, like the IPL. It's no promotion, there's no relegation, but there is a clear and obvious salary cap that has been imposed. Doing that might actually place a lot of English clubs at a disadvantage, because right now this isn't a world football thing. It's only the Premier League that are wanting to do that. What if other clubs see this as an advantage and say, no, we're not going to put in a salary cap. You guys can go and stay in line with the European regulations, which will allow you to spend up to 70% of your turnover. It would still represent more spending power than what Premier League clubs would have in terms of wages, and might be a bit of a disadvantage financially. So it's a complicated issue which we've tried to simplify as much as possible. But as I said, just the fact that it's been suggested is a lot, even if it may not be implemented now. It does mean that big changes are coming in English football. But what are your thoughts on the entire matter? You can let us know that in the comments below, and don't forget to like this video, share it with your friends, subscribe to the channel, tap that bell icon, follow us also on social media. We're on Instagram, Twitter and Facebook. Don't forget to download the Sports app, and if you're already on the channel, go right ahead, check out some other videos we've done as well. For now, from my side though, it is goodbye.